Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. And yesterday, BYU blew out Portland State. Let's talk about it right after this. Everybody, welcome back to Just Justin. I am Justin, and yes, today we're going to be doing a BYU review of the game yesterday, August 30th of 2025. They played at Lavell Edwards Stadium, and I apologize if you see white stuff all over my shirt. It's flour. I had to make my own cake flour. I'm making some cookies right now, testing out a recipe that I'll probably be using for Cooking with Justin later on. But nonetheless, let's talk about the BYU football game. Okay, so on Wednesday, I would say it might take a series or two before BYU finally gets its rhythm, with a new quarterback, the new timing and thing like that. And so Bear, let's talk about Bear. He came out and he wasn't looking too good. All right, so I just had to put the cookies in the oven there. All right, so yeah, Bear, he started out a little bit slow. Okay, couldn't find his rhythm and stuff like that. And then, it was about 6:30, okay? About halfway through the first quarter, when Portland State was going for a 56-yard field goal try, and BYU's defensive line got some penetration into the offense, and the kick was actually blocked via a BYU face mask, and they picked it up and they ran it back for a touchdown. So 7 points right there. Boom. Booyah. So yeah. And then BYU found its rhythm, scored another 7, so that's 14-0 in the first quarter. Then the second quarter came, and it just became easy for them to score points. So by the time halftime came around, it was 49-0. Okay? BYU was on a roll. Portland State was struggling big time. And then after that, the starters sat down and the backups came in. And third quarter, Hillstead, he was the quarterback. And he played that whole entire quarter. And let's see here. Let me get the score of the third quarter, the box score here. The third quarter, they scored 6 points, 2 field goals. So Portland State was like holding them. The backups were holding. Portland State was holding the backups, so only 6 points. Then the fourth quarter came along, and let me get down there really quick. And T. Bourguet came into the game, the third string quarterback, and he played the fourth quarter, and that team scored 14 points. So yeah, so all 3 quarterbacks got in there. They had a lot of people get in there, and the defensive, it was a good overall game. 65,000+ people crowded into Lavell Edwards Stadium there last night. And yeah, Bear, he went from playing high school football last year to coming to Lavell Edwards Stadium where it was sold out and packed. So yeah, let's go over some stats here really quick, okay? Let's see here. Team stats. Plays. Portland State 44, BYU 66. Third down efficiency. Portland State 1 for 13, BYU 6 for 10. Yards, 51 total yards for Portland State, 606 for BYU. Yards per play, 1.2 for Portland State and 9.2 for BYU. Passing yards were 56 total yards for Portland State and 138 for BYU. Rushing yards was -5 yards for Portland State and 468 rushing yards for BYU. First downs, 3 total first downs for Portland State, 28 for BYU. Fumbles lost. They both had 1 fumble lost. No interceptions were thrown. Penalties, Portland State had 4 for 20 yards, and BYU had 5 for 55 yards. Now, granted, all those penalties, all but 1 penalty came in the second half. The first penalty was against BYU defense for targeting. And so, yeah, that's where one of those penalties came from. The time of possession was 25-38 for Portland State, and BYU was 34-22. Now, yes, does BYU have a lot of work to do? Yes, BYU obviously has a lot of work to do. The score was 69-0. Of course, you're like, oh, why? Well, why do they have a lot of work to do? They have a lot of work to do. Okay, they have some timing issues. They have some defensive issues. Once they adjusted, they were fine. But up until that point, they need to get down, and they need to really grind the timing out. Bear was overthrowing sometimes. He was underthrowing, and he almost has some interceptions. So they've got to figure that out. And yeah, Portland State, I feel sorry for them, but they have got to figure out their quarterback situation. They can't be rotating all three quarterbacks into the game every different series, because the offense won't grow. The offense won't do anything because the offense can't rely on three different quarterbacks, three different cadences, three different timings. They have to decide on one quarterback. And who that will be, I don't know. But the coach was in his 11th season. His record is now 38-66. Portland State's got some work to do. And they're in the Big Sky, of course, playing an FS1 team, BYU. There's lots of differences there. But it's a learning experience for Portland State. And so, yeah. But BYU, they did a super good job, 69-0. They got some kinks to work out this week because Stanford comes into town next week. And it's an 8:15 Mountain Standard Time or Mountain Daylight Time, whichever you prefer. It's probably daylight time because I don't know. I don't care. It's 8:15 Mountain Time. All right, and it's on ESPN. So it's a late kickoff game again. But, yeah, Stanford comes in. I watched them on week 1. They made some stupid plays against Hawaii and lost. But Hawaii went to Arizona and lost. And I don't know what Stanford did yesterday because I didn't look before this video. So sorry, I apologize for that. But, yeah, BYU, they did a good job against Portland State. 606 yards of total offense. LJ Martin, I think he had 138 total yards or 115 or something like that. Oh, I got it right here. Let me look. LJ Martin, he had 8 carries, 131 yards. He had 16.4 yards per carry, and his long was 59. And C. Hagan had 2 carries for 57 yards, and his longest was 57. So, yeah, he must have lost a yard or so on another play. But, yeah, so BYU have some work to do, but they look good coming out of the gun. Stanford will have another look, and we'll go from there. All right, guys? So, yeah, I'm just finishing up these cookies. They're finishing cooking. I'm going to test them out to see if I can put them up on my Cooking with Justin channel, which is this channel as well. I just have a series called Cooking with Justin. So, stay tuned for if I put that one up. All right, guys, and appreciate you guys coming out. BYU did a good job. So like this video if you found it useful and informational. Also, hit that subscribe button down below so we can grow and so, you can listen to me ramble about different things. All right, because this is a no niche channel. All right, guys, give that bell notification a ding as well. So until the next video, I will see you later. Bye. Cookies look good. I'm going to find out how good they taste. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. BYU football and other videos here on Just Justin. Subscribe and watch that other video.